Hi, I'm Owen Fitzpatrick, and in this particular video, I want to share with you some insights I've gained over the years in terms of becoming a more effective speaker. So I call these the speaker's keys to success. The first key to success is to be able to focus on what are you there to do. Now, a lot of times people get freaked out or scared or terrified by speaking in front of a group of people. Why? Because they're obsessed with how those people in the audience are thinking about them. They're going, oh, what if they think this? What if they think that? What if they think the other? The reality is some people like you and think you're a legend. Some people think you're an idiot, and some people won't even care about you. They'll just be listening to what it is that you have to say. So it doesn't really matter that much about what they think of you. What matters is what are you there to do. So if you're there to present to them information, then you're there to present information. If you're there to be able to motivate them, you're there to motivate them. You're always trying to do something, and you're always trying to achieve something with the audience. So you need to go into every presentation that you make and every speech that you do, every speech that you deliver, and you need to ask yourself the question, what am I there to do? The more you focus on what you're there to do, the more likely you are to be able to forget about being self-conscious and forget about worrying about what anyone thinks, and instead you're much more likely to feel confident and comfortable and, most importantly, focused on what you're actually there to do. It will be remarkably useful for you. The second thing that's useful in order for you to be a more effective speaker is to study the audience. What does the audience need? What kind of audience is it? At what level are they? What are the different things they need to learn? What are the things they already know? What is the kind of vocabulary they would use? By studying the audience that you're speaking to, the more likely you are to be able to communicate in the most effective way with them. The more likely you are to be as relevant as you can be for them. So really do your research on the kind of audience you're talking to, the kind of level they're at, the kind of things that they know. And the more that you do that, the more that you study that, the more likely you are to be able to get the message across and to be able to communicate with them in the most effective way. The more clear you are about this, the easier it'll be for you to truly influence people effectively when you're speaking in front of them. So again, who's the audience? What is their background? What do they want to know? What's relevant to them? The more you understand that, the more likely you are to be much more effective at being able to speak to them whenever you need to. It's also important to be able to understand whenever you're communicating how you're going to structure whatever it is that you're presenting. So you want to be able to make sure that you're clear about how you're going to introduce it, you're clear about the middle, and you're clear about the end. You need to be able to ensure that the speech that you make or the presentation you make is very clearly structured. A lot of the mistakes people make is they go up, they know what they want to say, but they don't necessarily plan on how they're going to say it. So make sure with the introduction you're grabbing their attention, you're very clear about what they have to gain from the speech. Don't just tell them what you're going to talk about, explain why it matters. And that's absolutely crucial. Then when you're explaining the concept, make it clear, make it easy to follow. And then the next step would be to conclude by summarizing it well, reminding them of why it's important, and finishing off with what you want them to do as a result of the speech or presentation. The more clear you are about that, the more likely you are to be able to get the right result from them. Another thing that's absolutely of vital importance, I believe, whenever you're trying to speak to an audience and whenever you're trying to win over an audience to, your particular message or particular idea, is to begin to start to look at how can you make them feel a certain way, as well as intellectually being good, as well as logically presenting whatever your idea is. It's also important to focus on the emotionality of it. So how can you make the audience feel a certain way about your idea? How can you provoke their emotions? How can you affect their emotions? The more that you work on the emotions of the audience as well as the logic, the more likely you are to be able to persuade them very, very powerfully. And it's a really, really useful and really, really valuable skill. Another skill that is absolutely vital for you to be able to do is to be able to ask yourself the question, what are the kinds of things you need to do to position yourself as credible and as influential as possible? Oftentimes we go in and think that the audience will give us either the benefit of the doubt or they will think the opposite and they won't give us any benefit of any doubt. So it's important for you to make sure that you're very clear over how do you want to be seen by the audience? And not that you care about how people think about you, but you want to demonstrate credibility. You want to demonstrate that you know what you're talking about. You want to be able to demonstrate that you understand what is it that they need to know. The more that you're able to be clear over how you want to present yourself, the more likely you are to be able to impact the people that you're talking to at that moment in time. Yet another skill or important idea that you need to have in your head is the importance of using stories to be able to impact the audience. The more that you use stories, the more you both intellectually and emotionally affect the audience. You're able to bring them on a journey all the way through where they learn a massive amount. People tend to learn a lot more when they're listening to stories than if you're just presenting this information or that information or the other bits of information. So again, how can you use stories? How can you surprise them and grab their attention and keep their attention? Our attention spans in the modern day world are not nearly like they used to be. They're a lot shorter. We're used to a lot quicker information. So to hold people's attention for a speech, you need to do something quite powerful. And again, it's something that will stick out, something that's very valuable, something that's very unique. I know when I did my own TEDx talk, which you'll find the information somewhere on this page or in the bio, I spent a lot of time trying to make sure that it engaged people from the start towards the end. And I was very happy with it, and I've got great feedback on it as a result. But it's something that you need to do, is to prepare and plan how you're going to keep them engaged all the way through. And then lastly, if you are going to use slides, and again, a lot of times you don't need to, but if you are going to use PowerPoint or Keynote in terms of slides or Prezi, make sure that the slides you use have primarily little writing, nice pictures, make sure that they're well designed. They should be used as an aid to your presenting, not a replacement for. The biggest mistake people make is they throw every bit of information on the slide, completely confusing the audience and distracting the audience from them. Your presentation slides should be an addition to you. They should be a help to you, not a hindrance. So make sure that whenever you're presenting, you're using slides only insofar as they aid your presentation and make your presentation better as a result. I really hope that these ideas are useful for you and that you can use them to become an even more effective speaker in the world, whenever you need to, because it's good. I'm Owen Fitzpatrick. Thank you very much for watching.